Well, hello everyone. This is Two Big Kim from twobigwomenonaCouch.com, and as usual, I'm hoping that you're over there checking everything out on the site. It's a site for women, plus size women, and former plus size women in particular, to come together and just sort of share their stories and kind of who they are and meet friends and just have a social networking site that's safe and secure. You also know that Terry and I do that together, but that I'm doing a series of videos with just different folks that I've had a chance to meet on YouTube about a variety of topics that are very important to me and hopefully to you as well. So with me today, all the way from Argentina. Now you have to realize I live in Seattle, Washington, and all the way from Argentina I have Fettuccine Tube. That's what she goes by on YouTube. It's a sewing kind of clothes making channel on the YouTube, and so she's here with me today. And over the last few weeks, we've had an opportunity to talk about a number of issues, and knowing that something that we have very much in common, a passion for ensuring that animals, particularly homeless animals, are able to find good homes. And so you see her with her baby. Fettuccine, what's your baby's name?
Oh, this one is Petit Pois.
Okay, and then
I gave them all new names of food.
You name them all after food.
It means in French, it means little peas.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And then I know you have a number of other animals, which we'll probably talk about here shortly, but I've got my two guys here with me. This little guy was rescued. You've seen him before. His name is Buddy, the little red poodle, and he was rescued from the Humane Society about a year ago. Love that little guy. I'm going to put him down right now. My 10-year-old poodle's been living with me for, just about 10 years, ever since he was a 6-week-old puppy. So then this is our topic today is about pets and mostly around rescuing pets, spay-neutering pets, and being a very responsible pet owner. And Fettuccine Tube, you have a number of pets that you have rescued. Can you give us just a few minutes and tell us about your passion and compassion for these animals and kind of how you came about really being an advocate and a rescuer of homeless animals?
Oh, definitely. I'm down to 5 dogs and 3 cats. I say I'm down to there because it got to a point where I'm in Argentina, and here it's not quite as organized as far as the Humane Society. It's a developing country. So while they have made a lot of advances in some areas, there's still a lot of dogs on the street just fending for themselves. So it's very common to see an injured dog or a skinny cat suffering. And I guess when you live with it every day, as the citizens here do, maybe they're not as, although there are, I don't want to walk the topic too much, there are many animal advocates here also that are helping those animals as well, but it's sort of more part of the scenery, and they become more numb to it. But when I first moved here, it was new to me because in the United States, it's so, at least in the cities where I lived, I never saw dogs loose on the street. I know that they may not have good endings sometimes, but I just wasn't used to seeing the suffering firsthand. So the first thing I started doing is, I found 1 or 2 dogs that I felt sorry for, and I didn't have a dog. So I said, well, I'll bring them home and I'll cure them, and maybe they could stick around. Then I saw another dog, and I said, okay, well, I'll cure this one and I'll find him a home. And so that was good. It was still controllable. And then it just got to the point where every time I saw a dog or a cat, I'd bring it home, and my intention was to find him a home. But that's when I realized that I'm not Superwoman. Nobody can save all of them. And it gets to the point where you start, maybe you'll find a home for one, but there are few homes, as the Humane Society is always saying. There are not enough homes for all of them. And so I ended up accumulating more than I could find homes for, and spending a lot of money on curing them. And then I became known as the neighborhood animal saver. And so people started just, in the nighttime dropping animals at my doorstep, because to get rid of their conscience, maybe they didn't have their dog neutered or spayed, and their dog had puppies, and so they would throw a few in my yard, or they would let me know, well, I just saw a dog on X street and it's injured. Why don't you go help it? So it was sort of like, not only was I getting ill, I was also not teaching people to be responsible for their community. So it really wasn't helping anyone. People weren't learning to be responsible for their pets, and if I got too ill, I mean ill mentally from all of these animals and the suffering, and every day I would see distemper. I had never seen a dog with distemper before. And it is the most horrible, horrible suffering I think that I've ever seen in a domestic pet. And so, I had to go get help. I had about 14 dogs by that point.
Wow.
And I said, I love animals, but I can't save them all.
Sure.
I didn't have the finances and all the emotional energy. And so I got some help from a psychologist, actually. And, so I started slowly whittling them down. Some were very, very ill that really, and I'm very against euthanasia, but very few of them, it turns out that with all the money I would have spent on curing them, I could have spayed and neutered maybe some homeless pets. So for the first time in my life, I had to make that difficult decision of euthanizing a pet, which I had never done before. But the experience has been good for me because I can really understand firsthand what the Humane Society must go through all the time with having to educate people, and the key is spaying and neutering. If you have a pet, spay and neuter, or control. If you don't want to spay and neuter them, be very, very careful not to let them breed.
Let me interject real quick, because I just want to talk about spay neuter and the importance of that. I don't think too many people really understand that one pair of cats who create a litter, that litter can actually make over 300,000 other cats just from that single litter. And I don't think people understand that from a puppy, when two dogs get together, create their puppies, that from that litter, there will be over almost 70,000 additional animals born from that one single union, and that is a lot of animals. I'm talking 300,000 animals for cats and almost 70,000 animals for dogs. Spay neuter is probably the single most important thing that people can do for their animals, for the safety and health of their animals, for the safety and health of their communities, and so on and so forth. I'm a huge animal advocate and a very strong proponent of spay neuter, and so those numbers are pretty staggering. The other thing is, you talked about euthanasia and how difficult it is, and in my work, I do work in animal advocacy and animal welfare, and in my work I know that we make the hard decisions around what to do with animals from time to time. I will say, though, that there are times when it's the humane thing to do. Not everybody's going to agree with this. If an animal is absolutely too sick to be rehabilitated, the humane thing to do is to euthanize that pet. Or if an animal is absolutely too aggressive, cannot be put into a home, cannot be behaviorally rehabilitated, that is the most important thing that you can do for the safety of community. And so I'm not advocating euthanasia otherwise. I'm not advocating it for overpopulation or for large numbers in shelters or anything like that. But when an animal is too sick, it is not humane to allow that animal to suffer. It's not humane to take an animal, and I'm a huge advocate of all animals. I don't care if they're bully breeds like pit bulls or Rottweilers or poodles like I have, and so I don't say euthanize bully breeds or anything like that. But if an animal is too aggressive and is very likely to reattack or whatever, and cannot be behaviorally rehabilitated, the important thing to do is to make sure that professionals can make that decision. We're not going to have a whole lot of time on this video because the 10 minutes on the YouTube go by pretty quick, but I want to thank you for the good work that you've done and the efforts that you've made, and realizing actually that you can only do so much. So I guess we're asking people to step up and don't just get a pet at the holiday season thinking that, oh, this little puppy, I'm going to love this puppy forever. Understand what you're getting into. It's a lifelong commitment as long as that dog or cat is going to be around. And that's the most important message.
10, 15, or 20 years sometimes.
Absolutely. It's not just, oh, he's a cute puppy, and then all of a sudden, oh, now it's a dog. Oh, now I'm just going to dispose of it or give it away or do something. Please make that decision. The other thing I want to say is puppy mills. We've got to do something to get rid of puppy mills. Just not okay. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate what you're doing, all the way from Argentina to Washington State.